Folks, so now we're going to talk about color a little bit. At the beginning of class, our first module was all about color, and we had a lecture about it, and we talked about CMYK color, and we talked about spot color. And when you read through your project brief, you know that you have to go ahead and have a CMYK color to hand in, as well as a spot color to hand in, as well as a grayscale to hand in, as well as a Photoshop file to hand in for each of your two logos. So anyway, what is CMYK? CMYK is, if I go to Window and Color, it is essentially this. It's a palette that gives us 100% cyan, 100% magenta, 100% yellow, and 100% black. And it basically, what it does is it allows us, actually, I shouldn't say it gives us 100%. It gives us the ability to place anything between 0 and 100% of those four colors. And what CMYK can do is reproduce millions of colors. And that's a wonderful thing. And what I have for you is I have a logo for a friend of mine, a local veterinarian, and this is their logo, and this is in CMYK color. And it's cool. It works. You know, they really like their logo. They're a veterinarian, and I think that ultimately this stuff is working out okay. And if they were going to go ahead and they were going to reproduce full color images, and they were going to go to press with it, then CMYK is the way to go for sure. So this is where you're at, right? So you've got your logo completely created, you're happy, you're on your document correctly, and what you want to do is you want to get to the next step, right? You want to create your next logo. So let's go ahead and just make sure that we're on the same page here. So I'm on letter size document here. Let's get on the size that we're going to work with here, which is a 6x6 document. So I'm going to scale this thing down a little bit, okay? All right, so first and foremost, it needs to be said that Illustrator, that when you're working with Illustrator, you are working within either a CMYK or a RGB color space. Even if you're going to use spot colors, you'll still work in a CMYK color space. For anything that's going to be print, we're going to really try to work in CMYK. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and I want to use our artboard tool to copy an exact copy of this thing. So really important, I'm just going to grab our artboard tool, which is right here, and I'm going to hold down the option key and I'm going to drag. And I'm going to drag a duplicate copy of that. And I'm going to do it one more time because I'm going to go ahead and I need to create two kinds of logos here. Actually, three kinds of logos here in Illustrator. I need to create a CMYK one. I need to create one that is made with spot colors. And I need to create one that's made with black and white or grayscale, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and label them so then that way I know exactly what they are. So I'm literally going to write CMYK on one of them in Futura medium, okay? And then I'm going to go ahead and on this one here, I'm going to call it spot because that's what it is. And last but not least, I'm going to put one over here, and that one's going to be called grayscale. Again, because that's what that is. All right. And so I've got my three logos here, my CMYK, my spot, and my grayscale. So what I recommend doing is a couple things. One, if you're going to hand this file off to somebody, you need to be aware of swatches. Now, right now, what I have going on inside of my swatches palette are a few different things. For starters, I have got the default in here, right? These are what the default swatches are. And I can hand off a file with that in there, for sure. But I can also delete the ones that I know we're not going to be using and just put the ones in that I know we are using. So what I mean by that is this. We have this no color, and we have this other one called registration. Those are always going to be there. But then we have white, and I can go ahead and I can shift click all the way down to this pattern, and then hold down the trash can, hit delete, and say, I want to delete this selection? Yes. Then I can go ahead and I can select these folders here, and I can go ahead and delete those as well, and say yes. From this point, what I can do is basically I can just put the colors in here that I needed to use. Now, I've already kind of picked what my spot colors or my Pantones are going to be based on working with the client and figuring out what colors they liked. I also went ahead and I looked in the Pantone color book and made sure that they were going to reproduce in a way in which the client appreciated it. So anyway, what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to figure out what colors I'm using, and then I'm going to put them into my swatches palette, and I'm going to put them in a very formal and organized way. So again, when my client opens this up, then they will have the opportunity to know exactly what colors were used here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select, how about this little bunny here, right? Specifically, let's select the yellow in this little bunny. Let's go to window and color. Okay, so what I have here is I've got CMYK value of 0, 28.44, 82.57, and 0. That is also going to be the same color as this yellow band here. So all the yellow is the same, and the blue's even the same. Okay, which is cool. So I really only need a couple colors when I'm dealing with the basically the CMYK stuff here. So what I'm gonna do in my swatches palette is I'm gonna make a little folder here, and my color group is going to be called CMYK colors, and then I'm going to make another little folder, and that's going to be my spot colors. And then last but not least, I'm going to make another one, and that's going to be my grayscale. Okay, cool. So I got those. So what I want to do is this, and I know my spot color. I know what my spot colors are. It's this blue and this yellow here, these two Pantones. So I'm going to grab those, and I'm going to just drop them right into that second folder that is literally called spot colors. So the CMYK colors, let's start there, okay? So I'm going to click on the yellow here, and I am going to take that from either right here on my color palette or over here on my fill with my toolbar, and I'm going to just drag this over to my swatches. But specifically, I don't want to just throw it in there. I want to put it inside of that CMYK palette, okay? I'm going to grab the blue that I've been using for everything. I'm going to throw that inside there as well. Then I'm going to grab like this gradient here, right? And I'm going to open up my gradient window. So window and gradient. And I have a lighter color that I've been using, this kind of like this white. So that's going to go inside of there. And then those other pieces are kind of thrown inside it in the mountain as well. They're just kind of versions in between there. But I think you get a sense of what's going on. So that's one thing we want to do. We want to build our swatch palette correctly. That's very, very important. The last thing, though, is that I also used a gradient. So I'm going to take that gradient, I'm going to drag that into the swatch palette. Oop. Let's try that one more time. And there we are. Oh, okay, so the gradient doesn't want to go into the color guide, or excuse me, into the CMYK color group. You can't put gradients, unfortunately, in those folders. So that's kind of why, but I threw it right there in my swatches, though, so that way it's there. Now, what I'm going to do, along with going ahead and just kind of blocking CMYK on the top, is this. I'm going to make a couple squares, okay? And they're going to just kind of look like this. And I'm going to fill them with this color, this color, this color, and last but not least, this color. And so now take a look at my file here. I've got my file on here. It's clearly labeled a CMYK file, and it's got these colors associated with it. Okay? And then over here in my swatches palette, I have this thing in here. It's literally called CMYK colors, and it's got those colors associated with it. All right, so that's kind of where we need to be. So next, we have our spot colors. Now, what I have to say about spot colors essentially is this, that they can save a business a lot of money. I talked about them in the last module a little bit, but basically what a spot color is essentially a specific paint chip. And if we go ahead and we pick those specific paint chips, then we could reproduce our logo in this case for a whole lot cheaper than I could print it in CMYK. Not half, but probably like 2/3 the price. So it's a good thing to understand these spot color things, so that way when you move forward, you know how to use them, and ultimately you can either get more product for the same amount of money, or you can just save money. So they're a good thing to do. So to apply color, spot color these things, what I'm going to do simply is this. I'm going to select my objects, but before actually I do that, there is one thing I think I want to do. I want to be cognizant about keeping my CMYK, my spot, and my grayscale separate from one another. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some layers. So I have layer 2, which just was my kind of logo 101, right? And then I've got this layer 1, so this is the generic names, right? And so I'm going to make 2 more logos, or 2 more layers. And layer 1 I'm going to change to CMYK version. And layer 3 here, I'm going to change this to spot version. And then layer 4, grayscale version. Okay? And check this out. I'm going to grab everything here in spot, and this little blue dot's going to be right here. I'm going to just drag this right up to spot version. I really don't like that bright green color. It's going to drive me insane. So I'm going to double click on the thumbnail where I can come and I can change this to something else. Like the dark green, I could work with that. That bright green though, can't work with it. All right, now let's come and grab the grayscale. Okay, and let's drag that up to grayscale. So, and let's make that, how about we make that one like red? There we are. So now what we have is we have opportunity, right? I have these little paint chips. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to drag them over to the spot side and also to grayscale. They are on the CMYK version of the layer, so I'll drag this one up to the grayscale. I'll grab these ones and I'll drag those to CMYK. And now, through the use of different artboards and even the use of different layers, my client will easily be able to tell the difference between the files. Now, I will build them in one big file like this, and then so that they could open up a singular file and see everything they need to. But at the same time, I will probably also build them into separate files, so then that way they could, you know, just launch one if they need the grayscale, for example. So I'm going to turn off my CMYK version and I'm going to turn off my grayscale version right now because I don't need these other ones. And what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to get rid of those 2 colors and I'm going to get rid of these strokes because everything on this artboard I need to be spot colors. I need to be Pantone. So I'm going to select this yellow one and I'm going to click on this Pantone. And the way you could tell that this is a Pantone color and not a CMYK color, two things. One, you roll over and it literally says Pantone. So that's the first, giveaway. The second is there's a little triangle with a black dot in the bottom right corner. That is another giveaway. So you know that is a actual spot color. So cool. We're gonna put our Pantones on there. Now, along with that, it's not a bad idea to go ahead and again tell your client as much as you possibly can. So in this case, I'm gonna just go ahead and line the colors up like this. And then I'm literally going to go ahead and put the names on them. So this is Pantone 122U. Oops. Okay. Just like that. And over here, this is known as Pantone 294U. Now, I'm going to come back to this in a second, but first, let's jump to a new file. How do I get a Pantone color? That's probably something you should be aware of. So the easiest way to access Pantone colors is this. Well, first, I'm going to make a little something, a little square. That's it. Okay. Want to color it with a Pantone color. So the easiest way to access a Pantone color is right off your swatches palette. You can use the little drop-down menu, and you can go to the bottom where it says Open Swatch Library. And from there, you can go to Color Books, and then from there, we can go to Pantones. Okay? I want you guys to work with basically two. Pantone Plus Solid Uncoated and Pantone Plus Solid Coated. So what is the difference between coated and uncoated? Coated paper is glossy paper, and uncoated paper is matte paper. Coated paper will reflect more light off of it than uncoated paper, basically. Uncoated paper will actually kind of like suck the light in. So if you want like magazine quality paper, and that's what you're going to print on, then you want to pick coated. If you think you're going to print on like recycled like material, that's most likely going to be uncoated. So that's how you can choose. So I'm going to just go ahead and go coated. Now, what you get is you get this huge, huge, huge option of paint chips. Okay? All these are different inks that we can use with Pantone Solid Coated. And I can go ahead and I can use this drop-down menu, and I can look at them in like large thumbnails, or which I prefer instead is a list view, because it tells me the name. Now, what you probably don't have at home, but you could get, is you could get a Pantone book. So what does one of those look like? So if I go ahead and I Google Pantone color book, I'm going to get what we call our formula guides. Now, this is the Pantone solid formula guides. You get two of them. You can get a coated and an uncoated. Right here, solid coated, solid uncoated. $155. That's if you buy it from Pantone directly. As a student, you should be able to buy them cheaper from places like JourneyEd.com. Even places like Amazon sell them a little bit cheaper too. And what this is, guys, is this is a little booklet, and all those chips that were right here, well, they're in this booklet. So and one is printed on that matte paper, and one is printed on gloss paper, as I mentioned before. And so you're going to go ahead and you're going to get the opportunity to see what that ink looks like on a printed page. Always look at that first, okay? And then after that, you can come and you can choose the color that is associated with the one you just saw printed out. If you do not have that access to that book, you are simply at a disadvantage. True story. I knew those things existed. I even had access to one, and I rushed, and I just decided not to use it. And I picked a color that I thought was going to be a very dark blue, like a navy blue. And it was for a pretty big print job. And it was when I first got into the business. And I rushed instead of dotting my I's and crossing my T's. And I just did not double check the color. And when the items came back from the printer, instead of being that royal blue, that navy blue, that really nice blue that I thought it was, it came back purple. And my boss was not happy. So you want to definitely take the time, look at the formula guide for sure. Then, when you find the colors you like in the formula guide, all you have to do is just click on them and watch over here. I want you to keep your eye on the swatches palette. So just click on one, and then it automatically populates the swatches palette. So that's how I got those in the swatches palette in the first place. So in case you were wondering. All right, so I'm going to jump back over here to my spot colors. All right, so I've got my spot colors figured out. I've written them on here. This text here, this is in black. So I should change it to that blue color because again, I don't want any extra colors on this artboard. I just don't want that, including black or including, bright red or including any CMYK color. I don't want that. I just want the spot colors because I don't want to cause any issues or problems. So I'm gonna grab Countryside Vet. See how it's got this blue color on it? Well, I purposely went ahead and when I designed this with two colors in mind. Actually, I didn't design this. I've just been working on it for them, so I shouldn't take credit because I didn't do it. But anyway, when I was tweaking it, two colors were in my mind. And I did that so all the CMYK colors, they're all the same. So I could easily select, all the color at the same time if I needed to. So in this case, I'm going to click on this. I'm going to say select, and I'm going to say same, and I'm going to say fill color. And it will select everything on that sheet that is that blue color. Okay? And if I go ahead and I hit delete, look at all that blue that disappeared. Okay? So, watch. I'm simply going to go ahead and in one stroke, I'm going to grab my Pantone color here and boom. Now, all that stuff is Pantone. How do you know it is? Well, when you go ahead and you click on this, right, over here in the swatches palette, you'll see how like the swatch will highlight where the colors are. So like if I click on this dog here, right, see how it highlights where the CMYK yellow is? So, but when I click on this blue, boom, it's highlighted Pantone. So that's how you can tell that you have your Pantone colors. And if you send a job to press and it's only got two colors in it, then you tell them to use Pantones, they're going to use Pantones. But if it's got Pantones in it and it's got some CMYK color in it, if you have a nice printer, they're going to let you know that. But if you've gone ahead and signed off and said, hey, print it, then you're going to run into a problem. And they're going to just charge you for CMYK printing, even though you just mistakenly had like something written in black, or even though you took a lot of time to build this sort of stuff. So I'm going to grab our yellow here. I'm going to do the same thing. Select same, and I'm going to say fill color. And then I'm going to click on this yellow. And you see how they're very similar? That's done by design. Now, what about gradients? Okay, can gradients use, like spot colors? The answer is yeah. So how does that work? So check this out. A spot color, such as this blue, right? If I open up my color panel, it shows this Pantone 294U, and it shows that at 100%. So that's what that looks like. But if I want, I can go ahead and not copy myself. There it is. Okay. I can go ahead and make a duplicate of this and watch. I'm going to take this number down from 100% down to, like, let's say, I don't know, 75. Cool. And I'll duplicate it again. And how about we take this one down to 50? And how about one more time? Let's take it down to 25. And then last but not least, let's do one more time. Why not? Let's take it down to not 0, but 1. Okay? You want a little something there. So, these are 5 distinct colors, right? Right? Yeah. It's not a trick question. They are 5 distinct colors. But they're not. They're really not. Because really what they are is these are 5 versions of Pantone 294U, or what we call tints. Okay? So remember, tint is what you get when you add white to a color. So it's like a watered down version of the color, basically. And so I have all these different tints available to me, and I could put them inside of my folder as well, my Pantone folder. And it'll just be an easy way for me to grab those colors as I need them. Even good old number 1 here. All right, cool. So how do we do gradients then? All right, well, now that you've got your, colors that you're going to gradient to, it's pretty simple. We'll open our gradient tool up. Excuse me, our gradient palette up. And I'm going to select this. And I'm just going to grab my swatches from the swatch panel like this. I'm just going to drop this down right in there. Okay? And then last but not least, I'm going to take my 1 and I'm going to drop it right there. I'm going to do the same thing over here. Drop that right there. Bam. And take my number 1 and drop that right there. Bam. And what I have for you now is I have a logo that is entirely built on spot colors. There's one way to check it too, one extra way, okay? And again, because this can cost you money, so you want to do this. So start out with a untitled document like we have here. We're gonna go ahead. I'm gonna close all these windows down so you only see the swatches window. I'm gonna grab every single swatch and delete it. The only thing left is this, none, and then this registration, which is registration black, which we just can't get rid of. Now watch this. If I select all my spots like this and say edit and copy and jump into an untitled document that has nothing in its swatches palette, if I paste that in there, it's going to paste in all the colors that are associated with what is now on the document. And as you can see, there's only 2 colors. There's Pantone 294U and there's Pantone 122U. That's it. It didn't even pick these up as separate colors because, in all honesty, they're not separate colors. They're watered down versions of Pantone 294U. So that's just a final kind of check that you did that correctly. Okay? So we have our CMYK, we have our spot, and now let's take a quick look at our grayscale. So this is one where you may not want these scales. Not like that anyway. And when you're using grayscale, you have 2 choices. Choice 1 is to use CMYK, right? That's great, sure. But you're going to print it essentially in black and white, and you're going to get paid, or you're going to get charged for cyan, magenta, yellow, and black colors. because just black, or what we call K, is or key black, is part of that mix. You can't just pick one. So how do you do a real black and white then? So you got to go to your swatches, and you got to go to that drop down menu and open your swatches library and find your color books and find your Pantone process color, and you just want black. And so I'm going to go ahead with my large list view, and I'm just looking for Pantone process black is what it's called. And this black SU or 6U, that's not it, because it will actually look black. And I don't feel like searching for the next 10 minutes, so I'm just going to type in black. And this is what I get. Oh, and I'm searching in uncoated, so I want to just point out that uncoated paper won't be reflective, so they look really kind of like washed out. If I go into the coated and I search for black, it's a little bit better, okay? So here's Pantone Neutral Black, for example, or Pantone Black. I would say either Pantone Neutral Black, or if it's available to you, Process Black. Those are probably going to be your best bets. And I can't even use Process Black. It's not even available to me. So Pantone Neutral Black is going to work here. So, okay, so let's close that. And we have our black inside of here, right? So cool. So check this out. I'm literally going to just go ahead and select this and duplicate it. Just like that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And I'm going to grab them all with the exception of the last one and turn off the stroke. So we're going to grab this first top one. I'm going to pick black, right? Then I'm going to grab this other one, and I'm going to pick black. Actually, I'm going to pick black for all of them. So now we don't have to go back and forth. But this one is going to be 90% black. And this one here is going to be 80. And this one, 70. Okay, again, we're just making tints. 60, 50, 40, 30, 20, 10, and how about 5? 5, I kept the black outline on, so I want to make sure that I use my Pantone black for my stroke as well. And this grayscale text that I wrote is in CMYK, so let's just go ahead and put it right in that process black, that neutral black, excuse me. So, alright, so I've got that taken care of. Now I need to just go ahead and begin coloring this. So again, the easiest way to do it is to make a selection and say select, same, and you're going to go with, fill color, and it's going to grab everything that's in that yellow, and then you're going to choose. Now, what you don't want to do is what I just did it by accident, right? What I just did by accident was I missed a step. So what we really want to do, if this is, your neutral black, this is 90% neutral black, so I want to drag that in there, and I want to get them all in here in order. And when I roll over this, it literally says neutral black C 80%, right? So it lets us know that it's a tint. And I think that that's just going to help you, and it's also going to help your client too, because again, it's all right here for them. We're showing it to them, and then we're giving it to them. So these are the kind of things that will make your clients happy, and they will make you have jobs in the future. Okay, so please be aware of this sort of stuff. Because the worst is when you hire somebody to do a job and it's not so much that they do it ineffectively, but they do it in a way that you don't understand. And this way, everyone will understand. And just so we're on the same page, too, this is Pantone Neutral Black C. So let's go ahead and just write that there. So, again, the client knows. Let's try to spell correctly, too. I can actually just put it under there because it's all grayscale. So, okay. So, I've got my bar here. I've got all my colors here. I've got the name of the color. I just got to color it now. Let's grab this dog here. Select same appearance, or excuse me, fill color. And I'm going to pick a light colored 10% basically of my black. Now let's grab this Countryside Veterinarian, this select same fill color. I want this to be dark, really dark. Okay. Let's come over to these gradients. See how they work. All right, I'm just going to drag this one in here and this one in here. Where's that one? Yeah, it's that one. It's the first one. So drag that right there and drag that right there. Great. Now I have a bunch of other things in here, like I have strokes. Now those strokes are actually different kinds of fills. So I'll select same fill again. And I'm going to change it to a darker color. There we go. Select this fill. That's a gradient, so I'm going to go ahead and put my colors in for my gradient, just like before. Another gradient here in the barn. Put my colors in here. And here's the thing. What you want to do is you just want your stuff to look okay when it's all said and done. Okay? So that's just important. You want your black and white logo to look just as good as the color logo, if not better. Because think about how many times somebody's going to photocopy something. They're going to need a black and white logo. So you want to make it so it's got enough contrast in it so somebody can look at it and understand it. Now, I say that, and I don't like the fact that this is too like bright white for me in many ways. So I'm going to say select same, and let's go with our fill color again. And I'm going to bring that forward a little bit. Ooh. I think I kind of grabbed a little everything. Select same fill color. It did grab everything. So when I go ahead and I change this, everything got grabbed. Why? The reason why is simply this. It can't differentiate between tints. So in its mind, it's all Pantone Neutral Black C. So that won't work. So that means that I actually have to select things and work a little harder on them. That's all. So I'll select this circle here, and I'm going to change its color. That's a little too much. I think that could work. Yeah, that looks good. I'm going to grab this dog, and I'm going to shift-click this cat, and this bunny, and this lizard. And there we go. I think it needs to be a little lighter just because based on where it is. And we got it. Oop, almost missed one. And again, the way you'll know if you miss them is that if you copy it onto a different document, so if I grab this, for example, copy that, come back to that blank document I had before, let's undo that, so it's literally empty, and I'll paste. And again, the only thing that came through was black, the Pantone neutral black. So that means I did it right, okay? So essentially, what we have now is this. We have a single layer, a single logo right over here. And that's made with CMYK, 4 colors of ink, cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. Then over here we have a spot color logo. It looks damn near identical to the CMYK one, right? And this is made with 2 colors, Pantone 122U and Pantone 294U. So it's going to be cheaper to print this one than is the CMYK one. And last but not least, and the cheapest to print of them all, is going to be the grayscale. So I picked one black color, one black Pantone spot color, and then I created tints of it. And that, guys, is how you create multiple versions of a logo with different colors and how to do it effectively. And I want to just point out one last thing. Do you notice how each of my pages, I never moved the logo? Did you notice how I never changed the ears of the cat on one, but I didn't do it to the other 2? At this point, there's no more changing, because if you change one, you have to change them all. So you want to make sure that you're pretty satisfied with what you have before you get into your spot and your grayscale colors. And I think that's going to wrap it up for talking about color here with our logos. Thank you.